everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the English Podcast with Zinny and Frank, and I am so incredibly happy you've decided to spend your time with us today.
And I'm Frank. We're coming to you today with a heart full of gratitude, and our episode title today is The Gilded Ghost, Unlocking the Copper Scroll. Please stay with us.
Imagine walking into a cave near the Dead Sea in 1952. It's hot, dusty, and you're surrounded by crumbling parchment that's been silent for 2,000 years. But then you find something that doesn't belong. It's not leather, and it's not papyrus. It's a sheet of nearly pure copper rolled up like a hardware store remnant, and it's glowing with the secrets of a lost fortune.
And not just any fortune, Zinny. We're talking about tons of gold, silver, and priestly tithes. Today we are cracking open the mystery of the Copper Scroll.
This isn't just archaeology, this is the ultimate cold case. For decades, scholars have argued, is this a real treasure map or the ancient world's greatest work of historical fiction?
And unveiled. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to the trouble of engraving 64 different locations onto expensive copper, which, by the way, was incredibly hard to write on, I'm probably not doing it for a prank.
Part 1. The Anomalous Scroll. Let's set the stage. The Dead Sea Scrolls are famous for being religious texts, the oldest copies of the Bible, the Manual of Discipline for the Essenes, but the Copper Scroll, found in Cave 3, is the black sheep of the family.
It really is. First off, the language is different. While the other scrolls are written in a literary Hebrew, the Copper Scroll is written in a style closer to the Mishnaic Hebrew, the language of the people. It's street Hebrew for the time.
And it was so oxidized when they found it that they couldn't even unroll it. They had to take it to Manchester, England, where a professor literally had to saw it into strips just to see what was inside.
Imagine the tension in that room, the first slice of the blade, and suddenly you see words like gold, talents, and vessels.
It lists 64 locations. Under the stairs in the inner court, in the cavity of the old House of Tribute. It's a checklist of hidden wealth. But here's the kicker, Frank. If you add up the weights mentioned, we're looking at roughly 65 tons of silver and 26 tons of gold.
In today's market, that's billions. In the ancient world, that's the entire economy of a kingdom. This is why some scholars, like the famous J.T. Millick, argued it was folklore. He thought it was a legend intended to keep the spirit of the temple alive after the Romans destroyed it in 70 AD.
But why use copper? If it's a legend, write it on cheap parchment. You use copper when you want a record to survive fire, moisture, and time. You use copper for a permanent ledger.
The deadlock theory. This brings us to the deadlock. This is the core of our discussion today. The deadlock refers to the geographical and historical paradox of where these items came from.
Right. If the Essenes, this ascetic, desert-dwelling group, were the ones who wrote it, where did they get 20 tons of gold? They were known for living simply. They didn't have a treasury.
Exactly. So the theory shifts. Is it possible the treasure didn't belong to the Qumran community at all? Was it the treasure of the Second Temple in Jerusalem?
This is where the plot thickens. As the Roman legions were closing in on Jerusalem in 68 to 70 AD, the priests would have known the end was near. They couldn't let the Romans take the sacred tithes.
They split it up. They snuck it out of the city through sewage tunnels and secret gates, hauling it into the Judean wilderness. The Copper Scroll isn't a map for pirates. It's an inventory for the survivors of a war. It's a to-do list for when the Messiah returns and the temple is rebuilt.
But there's a problem with that theory, too. The scroll was found in a cave associated with the Essenes. If the temple priests and the Essenes were rivals, which historians believe they were, why would the priests hide their treasure in the Essenes' backyard?
That's the deadlock. It forces us to rethink the relationship between these groups. Maybe they were enemies. Maybe in the face of total annihilation by Rome, they became allies.
People have actually tried to find this stuff, Frank. It's not just a theoretical exercise.
Oh, we have to talk about Vendell Jones. He's the guy many claim was the inspiration for Indiana Jones. He spent decades in the Qumran caves with a copy of the Copper Scroll in one hand and a shovel in the other.
And he actually found something. In 1988, his team found a small juglet of balsam oil, an ancient, highly expensive oil used for anointing kings. Then, in 1992, they found what they believed was a hidden silo of incense used in the temple.
It wasn't a pile of gold bars, but it was organic gold. It proved that the items described in the scroll, specific ritualistic items, actually existed in those locations.
But the 64th location? That's the one that haunts me. The scroll ends by saying that there is a second copy of the scroll hidden at the smooth stone with an explanation and the measurements and the inventory of everything, one by one.
A backup drive. They made a duplicate with even more detail and hid it somewhere else. We found the table of contents, but we haven't found the detailed map.
The theology of gold. Let's pivot for a second. Why does this matter to us now? Is it just about the money?
I think for the people who wrote it, the gold was secondary to the sanctity. These weren't just coins. These were karam, dedicated things. They belonged to God.
Right. If a Roman soldier spent a gold coin from the temple, in the eyes of the priests, that was a cosmic violation. By burying it, they were keeping it pure until the world was right again.
How we look at the ruins of Qumran. It's not just a monastery, it's a vault, a series of safety deposit boxes carved into the limestone of the Dead Sea.
Conclusion: the mystery remains. As we wrap up this deep dive, Frank, what's your take? Is the treasure still out there?
Honestly, I think the Romans found some of it. We know from the Arch of Titus in Rome that they paraded the menorah and the golden table through the streets. But 64 locations? Scattered across the desert? There's no way they found it all.
I agree. I think the Judean desert is still holding on to a massive secret. The Copper Scroll is a voice from the past, screaming that the story of the temple isn't over.
It's a ghost story written in metal.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the deadlock. If you ever find yourself near the Cave of the Column, keep your eyes open. You might just be standing on 400 talents of silver.
Just remember to bring a heavy-duty shovel.
And a permit. Definitely a permit. Dee-doo-dee-dee-dee-doo. Summary of the key analytical points included. Material significance: the choice of copper over parchment signifies a permanent intent, suggesting the contents were of extreme importance, state or religious treasures. Linguistic shift: the use of Mishnaic Hebrew points to a later date, circa 70 AD, and a different class of author than the more formal sectarian Dead Sea Scrolls. The deadlock of provenance: the script explores the tension between the Qumran community, Essenes, and the temple priesthood. The deadlock is the historical gap where we cannot definitively prove how temple treasure ended up in Essene territory. The scale of wealth: by highlighting the tons of gold or silver, the script emphasizes that this was likely the national treasury of Judea, not a private collection. The missing duplicate: the mention of the 64th entry, a second scroll, serves as a narrative hook that keeps the mystery alive for modern audiences.
Before we go, please, we would love to know what you feel about this episode, The Gilded Ghost Unlocking the Copper Scroll. Share it in the comment section.
Thank you for trusting us with your time. Thank you for growing with us. Keep listening, keep breathing, and keep staying steady.
This is Frank.
And this is Zinny. And you've been listening to the English podcast with Zinny and Frank.
Bye-bye for now.
See you in the next one.